camel again. Can't you
Hey, y'all
stop?
want to see a magic trick? What up, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back to the weekly recap. It's just me, Kate, and Gina Carano tonight. So, I wish we had Gina Carano, believe me.
I wish. Oh my god.
I'm not Jay. I'm not Drunk 3PO, so I don't know Gina Carano that well. So, I doubt she'd come on my stream. But, although it would be cool. But yeah, we got a little bit of politics because this actually does happen to it's not Hollywood, but this is important, you know. And then we got some Sonic 3, Sonic 4 news, and we also have Disney the Acolyte news. Yes, we're going back to the Acolyte for a bit, just so that the final nail in the coffin can be nailed in tight. So before we get started, Kate,
And
how
this
are you
one really
doing?
is the final nail in the coffin. Like this one is, it is, you know.
Yeah. So Kate, how are you doing?
Doing great. Doing pretty well. It's a nice weekend. It's right before Christmas. So
Yep. Hence my Santa hat, folks, my orange Santa
okay.
hat. Let it be known that I am not with cheer. How are ya, Riot Kitty? That is awesome. Merry Christmas, you filthy hooligans. Oh, and Merry Christmas to you too, Riot. Hope you're I hope you're what's the word that I'm thinking of? Sabbatical from online stuff is going well. Away from online stuff is going well. Now, we also are going to be discussing the movie Angels and Demons. We're only discussing it as a movie, but we will also be getting into some philosophical arguments here. Well, maybe not arguments, but you know what I mean, folks. So starting the shit
Helping me.
off, we will be getting it, or we'll be getting the politics out of the way. That way we can move on to greater things. Hey, Vanya, awesome. The dirt being shoveled onto the coffin. That is. Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, well said, Vanya.
So the politics, get it out of the way. Before we do, thank you. Sadly, not going well. Looks like I'm not going to be able to stream until March. I'm sorry that happened, right? Somebody, or I'm guessing your channel got hit. So now, getting into the politics, just to get it out of the way, it seems, folks, that the Biden administration, well, the bombshell reports, has basically confirmed what every fucking American who has common sense knew from day one of his campaign, not his presidency, is that the man had clear mental decline. Also, I am sorry for any background noise you may hear in the background. I have family that is hard of hearing. So they tend to listen to things loud and jeopardize my channel for copyright infringement on music that may play. So
Really?
yeah, I've had background music get my channel hit once because they
Wow.
didn't listen to me the last time I told them. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. This is from the New York Post. White House aides hid Biden's apparent mental decline from day one of his presidency. Explosive report details reveals. Now, folks, I remember. Oh, well, that's good. That means the background cancellation noise is. Oh my God! Over a 5-year video. Really?
Jeez. Riot, that sucks.
That is complete bullshit. Fuck you, YouTube. Anyway, I am so sorry to hear that, right? I really am. Don't think that I'm just shoveling your shit out of the way. No, that fucking sucks. That's why I
Mhm.
do a lot of my shit on X now. But White House aides hid Biden's apparent mental decline. So I'm gonna go over to that thing. Kate, you know the drill. Let me know if my audio
Yeah,
slips.
for sure.
So White House aides covered up Biden's apparent mental decline from day one, shielding the aging commander in chief from. Well, here's the thing. I am not going to acknowledge him in any presidential manner. Hiding the crone or the old bat or the asshole from the public, even rearranging his schedule after scatterbrained performances, an explosive report revealed Thursday. The lack of access to the nation's oldest ever um tempest of a contest, shall we just say, has been well known in Washington, with Biden hosting the fewest large press conferences in modern history and frequently descending into gaffes at the podium when he appeared. But how much the White House made up for the haziness until now has been hidden, according to aides, Democratic lawmakers, and donors who spoke with the Wall Street Journal. Presidential staff, unfortunately, formed a tight shell around Biden, who was 82, right after he took office amid the COVID-19 pandemic, which staff immediately limiting his in-person interactions in January 2021. But staffers also began making adjustments to daily plans when the president appeared tired or kept stumbling on the world stage, falling upstairs, shitting his pants at the Vatican, and other embarrassing things, both figuratively and literally. By
Mhm.
spring 2021, meetings were being rescheduled to accommodate for his good days and bad days. According to the Journal, a national security official told an aide at the time, he has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day, so we're going to address this tomorrow. This is literally a man who went up to the press and said, my butt's been wiped.
I remember that.
Meetings were often scheduled later in the day. A fact first disclosed after Biden debate flopped against President-elect Donald Trump, when staff admitted the then Democrat nominee had difficulty functioning outside of a 6-hour window that closed around 4 p.m. daily. Yeah, and he was slipping even during those debates back then. Senator International Pressure. Who remembers that one? Who also
Definitely.
remembers or do you all remember that whistleblower that came out, an ex-Biden campaign staff member who reported to the news that this man thinks he's in the 80s and he also has incontinence diapers on because he keeps pissing himself. He takes incontinence meds.
To be clear, we're not making fun of old people for being incontinent. We're saying,
No, we are
please
not.
get this guy out of the White House because he clearly cannot run this country.
Yeah, exactly. She said it best. This man should have been 25th. Actually, no, he should never have been allowed to run.
Correct.
The only reason why they ran him was because he had the best chance of beating Trump. And then they absolutely made sure he could by cheating. And yes, folks, that election was stolen. We're allowed to say that. Um, Once inside the room with the president, officials were instructed to make their briefings short and to the point. Private discussions with even some of his top cabinet picks, including Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, grew more infrequent. One cabinet official eventually stopped reaching out to schedule talks with the commander in chief after having been repeatedly rebuffed, an ex aide revealed. The White House also hired a voice coach, Hollywood mogul and campaign co-chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, to try to improve his faint, raspy tone. Other staffers removed negative reports from Biden's stack of news for the day, misleading him about the public's opinion of his job performance, which reached a 70-year low in 2024. Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates disputed the characterization of his boss. Biden speaks with members of his cabinet and with most members multiple times a week, staying close with them about implementation of key laws and strengthening our national security, Bates said in a statement. Biden leads a modern administration. Cabinet meetings are an important tradition, but the contemporary work environment means they can be few and far between. Yeah, because he needs his nap time and his warm milk. But the sign had been there throughout his term in the Oval Office. He frequently relied on note cards, was spotting having large directions printed for him, large print directions, mind you, large font, often mixed up names of foreign dignitaries or other facts and gaffed when he went off script or ignored his teleprompter. The president sat down with special counsel Robert Hur over what was deemed his willful retention of classified information, also tested his mental stamina. Biden was one who reportedly pushed for the Hur interview, per the WSJ. And staffers backed the decision in hopes of showing that Biden was more cooperative than Trump. Then his opponent in 2024, or his then opponent in 2024 election. But the interview prep quickly turned into a headache. Preparation sessions took 3 hours a day, and Biden would forget his lines and fluctuate in his energy levels, according to an outlet. Transcript posted after the grueling 2-day affair in October 2023 revealed he forgot the year his son Beau Biden died of brain cancer. This man should never have been in office. The Biden World source dismissed the president's hazy recall, telling the Post, every person who has ever prepared for a legal interview has forgotten some of the prep. Excuses. We're almost done with this, folks. Just bear with me. The ring around Biden was equally tight during the brief and unsuccessful re-election campaign, with the staffers fielding questions so much it surprised donors about the degree of control. The Democratic candidate previously got filled in on his numbers by pollster John Anzalone during the successful 2020 campaign, but by 2024, no survey findings were relayed directly to Biden and were instead passed along through memos to campaign aides. The withholding of the information particularly concerned Biden campaign pollsters as Trump numbers began to tick up. Campaign staff were only concerned that First Lady Jill would outshine the president, even during the 2020 primary, according to the Journal. The more you talk her up, the more you make him look bad. Yeah, they were reporting that she was attending his conference meetings, his cabinet meetings, his world leader events. Then they tried shoveling his ass out to that summit in Africa recently. He fell asleep in front of the whole fucking world. The press secretary at the time, Michael LaRosa, told the outlet he was instructed by Jill's closest confidant, White House staffer Anthony Bernal. I was thinking about making a off-the-cuff joke. However, I don't think it would be appropriate. Closest confidant. I'm willing to bet it's a little more than that. Oh, shit, I said that out loud. During her husband's term, the First Lady would tried to stop him from going it alone too long at press conferences, fearing he might be caught flat-footed by questions as the events dragged on. President Biden has earned the most accomplished record of any modern commander-in-chief and rebuilt the middle class. No, he didn't. He fucked over the middle class. Of his attention to policy details and impact millions of lives that fucked over millions of lives. His active solicitation of diverse opinions, you mean diverse races, and historians, false historians, and because of his determination to fulfill a big picture economic agenda to kill our economy that realized major priorities Democrats would have worked toward for decades that would have destroyed the United States. Bates added in a statement to the Post. During every presidency, there are inevitably some in Washington who do not receive such time with whomever the president is as they would prefer. But that means that the president isn't engaging thoroughly with others as this president does. So, yeah, that is the end of that one. Kate, what are your thoughts on this?
So remember back in like 2020 when conservatives were like, this dude is mentally unfit to run, and Democrats were like, no, you're stupid and ridiculous, and that's a conspiracy theory. And then when he tried to run in 2024, they're like, oh, we gotta shuffle him out of here and put somebody else in real quick. And now it's finally come to light. So, like, every other conspiracy theory over the past like 5 years, you just wait long enough and it comes to light that it's true. So, do I feel vindicated? Yeah. Am I gonna get a personal apology from people who are like, no, how dare you say that? He's not competent. Probably not, but here we are. It just, more time passes and the articles like this show up. I'm like, and we were right. We were right the whole time.
Yeah. The way I see it, and yes, this does need to happen, there needs to be criminal investigations for elder abuse, including the First Lady herself, because this woman was on a fucking power trip. I guarantee you, she wanted him to stay in office so that she could be important. The same woman who got off a frickin' plane in fishnet stockings and a trench coat. And they said that Melania Trump was trashy because she did nude modeling over in Europe, I believe. So, yeah. The point is, folks, this man was clearly unwell during his campaign. America knew it. These journalists coming out today, oh, this is news to me. No, it isn't. You fuckers lied to us.
Mm-hmm.
You all knew it. And you want to know how we could tell? It's because everything you said about Biden was happy-go-lucky positive, parroting word for word what came out of the White House, and then tried to shut down anyone with a conservative or Republican name or registration or viewpoint, and you said, you are lying, that is not what the White House said, this and that, and you aggressively attacked anyone who tried to dare speak out against it. So yeah, we caught you in the biggest cover. Or you know how we watched Da Vinci Code last week, Kate?
Mm-hmm.
There's a brilliant line from Sir Teabing in that movie. Witness the greatest cover-up in human history. Except in this case, it's actual human history. We are living it.
Mm-hmm.
In years to come, kids will read in their history books about a brain-dead president who White House staffers and an abusive first lady kept him in office well after he was unable to serve, and they never invoked the 25th Amendment to get him out. Congress is equally to blame. They never impeached him to get the impeachments on record in order to show his incompetency. This man killed a U.S. asset of civilians overseas during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. 10 civilians over there were murdered by a drone And nobody in the entire Biden administration has been fired. Not one person. They all had to step down or retire. The ones that did, specifically the Secret Service bitch that nearly got President Trump killed.
Here, I have a question for you, Orange.
Mhm.
So, under Biden's DOJ, when they were looking into the Biden crime family, they said that they weren't going to bring, any charges or basically pursue the case further against Biden, like Joe Biden, not Hunter,
Yeah.
because he was mentally like he wasn't mentally capable, mentally fit of standing trial. Well, if he's not mentally fit for standing trial, how is he mentally fit to run the country? But my question
Isn't.
to you is, do you think that Trump's DOJ will look into that, or will he kind of like let bygones be bygones? I'm hoping he doesn't let bygones be bygones just because of Biden's like clean sweep of pardoning his son after saying he wasn't going to.
Here's the thing. It is at the point where he is unfit to stand trial. So there is no putting Biden in jail. They will, or our our Justice Department, be it Republican or Democrat, will never allow a sitting president to do jail time. Well, actually, will never allow a former president to do jail time if they are mentally incapable of doing so. So, unfortunately, Biden will hold no accountability. However, I would, if I was President Trump or President-elect Trump at this point, I would make it, or I would tell the DOJ, look, you are going to investigate the administration aides. You are going to investigate the former first lady. You are going to investigate his entire cabinet. This is not going to be a cover-up to the American people. We are going to be transparent, unlike the Biden administration. I want all of it found out, and then once the investigation is concluded, I, being the president, will decide whether or not charges should be brought, because this man was clearly unwell and they forced him to do 4 years as president. And they kept things from him. This is insane levels of things that are not a republic. We are a constitutional republic, folks. And if the president is compromised in any way and considered unfit to carry out his duties, which the Robert Hur report clearly stated, if he is unfit to stand trial, he is not fit to run this country. Then,
And Orange and I were talking about this a little bit behind the scenes too. Biden isn't the only one in DC who's too old and cognitively
impaired.
Impaired to do things. Like if we tell our grandmas, "Hey, I'm taking the keys to your car cuz I don't trust you with that, and we're
Yeah.
it's for your safety." Why are we letting somebody who's of that age range and of that cognitive decline run a country? Who's running the country right now?
I guarantee
Anyway.
you it's Joe Biden. Joe
No,
Biden.
it's the deep state.
Or, yeah, it could
Because
be the deep state.
it's Joe Biden is the perfect puppet. He thinks he's president. He's kind of too stupid. You could probably just put him in an old West Wing set, and he's probably not even need to be in the real Oval Office. Just the West Wing set or the set from House of Cards or whatever. I'm sure they have more than one Oval Office set in Hollywood. Come on, guys. They throw him in there, give him some fake phone calls, tell him he did a good job, give him a lollipop, send him to bed. That's what I feel like his day is.
Here's the thing, folks. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear Solid franchise?
Mm-hmm.
So you know who the Patriots are.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of an AI that is ruling the country, deciding who's elected president, trying to rule the world, it is a bunch of shadowy figures in the background. And yeah, they're the ones who are actually making the decisions. That is who basically the deep state is. The fact of the matter that the Metal Gear Solid storyline is very prescient, is very prophesied into what would happen in the United States is insanely nuts. Because Metal Gear Solid 2, the suppression of information so that they could provide context by suppressing information they don't like, what happened in the last 8 years. You know? It's absolutely insane what happened in our country. And I'm sorry, I believe that people need to be locked up for it. Because what happened was criminal. It is both, or it erodes the trust of the American people in our government. So, with that out of the way, washing our hands of politics, we are now going to move to Sonic 4 being greenlit before Sonic 3 even released. Now, yesterday, folks, I saw Sonic 3. Great fucking movie.
I heard it was really good.
Oh, was it? And yes, if you haven't seen Sonic 3 yet, folks, stay through the credits all the way. There are 2 credit scenes. An
And this
introduction
is
to somebody who's...
Jim Carrey's last one, right?
I believe so. Yes, this is possibly Jim Carrey's last one. I say possibly because I do not want to spoil anything. But the post-credit scenes, an introduction to a new character, so another member of the Sonic family is coming. Pretty much just spoiled it because who hasn't shown up yet? And a character is still around who was thought to have perished. Those are the only things that I'm saying. This movie was seriously good shit. I mean, the fight sequences between Sonic and Shadow are epic. And when I say epic, I mean epic. Holy crap, like world-spanning Dragon Ball Z shit. So we're going to get into this article from That Park Place because, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 greenlit ahead of the release of Sonic 3. So let's get into this. This is
They've
from
been doing really good, like as far for after their disastrous first release of their teaser trailer, and everybody was like, "No freaking way that that's what Sonic looks like," and they fixed it. They've been doing really well. Like, good job, you guys.
Yeah. That's what happens when a director will respects fans instead of shits on the fans, you know?
Well, and it might be easy to shit on like, oh, this is like old video game from blah blah blah, like I know that non-nerds like to make fun of nerds, and it's very evident when the non-nerds make nerdy things like Star Wars and you're like, "Oh, you hate the source material." It looks like they like the source material. They're having fun with it. These movies are fun. Anyway, sorry, I'll let you get into the article, but I just wanted to say, like, the transformation from the online hate of, oh my god, that cannot be Sonic, to they're releasing a 4th movie and they haven't even released the 3rd one yet. Like, what? Way to go, you guys. Way to go.
Yeah. So Paramount Pictures has set its sights on expanding the adventures of everyone's favorite supersonic hero, not the Flash. The studio has confirmed ahead of its weekend release the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is on track to debut in spring of 2027. The decision arrives at a pivotal moment. Sonic 3 is gearing up for its theatrical launch, with projections indicating a robust domestic opening weekend of approximately 55 to 60 million from a widespread North American rollout. As the holiday season approaches, industry insiders anticipate that the newest chapter of the Sonic cinematic journey will dominate the box office. Paramount will then introduce the movie in 52 international territories on Christmas Day. Early reactions from critics suggest the film's popularity will soar. It has secured a commendable 87% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that Rotten Tomatoes is really trusted anymore after 2019. The franchise's track record more than justifies Paramount's confidence. Collectively, the first two installments of Sonic the Hedgehog grossed a noteworthy $725.2 million worldwide. Beyond ticket sales, the brand's influence has spilled over into the digital markets, with home entertainment transactions topping $180 million globally. Adding to the series' cultural footprint, the character's universe expanded earlier this year with the Knuckles spin-off series, which was actually pretty good on Paramount Plus. I loved it. Sonic 3 faces stiff competition this weekend from Disney's Mufasa. No, there's no competition. It's killing Mufasa. And I will elaborate on that after this. However, the industry experts expect Sonic to rocket past Simba's dad's domestically in what would be a huge box office upset. The big budget Lion King prequel is expected to draw $50 million at the box office, while holding the lion's share of Dolby and IMAX theaters at their far higher ticket prices. That means if Sonic 3 does pull out of a slim win over Mufasa, it will actually be far greater victory, considering the uphill battle in the Blue Blur has to fight in order to claim North American box office supremacy. While Sonic 4 is on its way, fans will have to wait patience for any glimpses of its story online. For now, Paramount is remaining tight-lipped about what it has planned for the future. Oh, this movie's credit scenes give it away. Exactly. Give it away a ton of what is planned for the future this franchise. However, we will see Sonic and Friends again in 2027. Are you excited for the announcement of Sonic 4 ahead of Sonic 3's release? Will you see Sonic 3 this weekend? I already did. Sound off in the comments and let us know. So, yeah.
It seems that Sonic is also like, yeah, it's kicking Mufasa's booty.
Definitely. Because it just goes to show that that Paramount had a ton of confidence in this movie. Now, talking about Simba, folks, I was at the theaters yesterday watching this movie, and a family came out that watched or came down after the Mufasa movie was done. And I asked the kids, like, did you guys enjoy the movie? Because in a small town, we know everybody and whatnot. And the 13-year-old said it was all right. I wasn't a fan of the songs though. And I'm like, oh, sorry to hear that. But essentially the main point that during the conversation was the Disney remakes are unnecessary. Nobody cares for them really.
Yeah.
But this movie, we had that ugly blue thing that they tried to sell us on, and Sonic had a battle that tosses Simba's dad off a cliff. Oh, damn. Yeah, I guess Sonic 3 is expected to break the bank. I just watched Sonic 2. Meanwhile, yeah. I mean, the thing is, folks, this movie, it's earning its success wholeheartedly. I mean, I'm not a huge Sonic fan. I've never played the games. I don't know the character continuity and all that stuff. But what I can glean from it is that they do pay homage to source material. There is over-the-top stuff, but they also pay attention. Folks, when I say that they are paying attention to a lot of things, there's logical scientific stuff too. Now, everybody knows that Sonic or that Knuckles has flaming fists when he's doing a charge and whatnot. They actually employ that scientifically sound outside of the obviously unrealistic stuff in this movie because as the trailer suggests, there are some stuff that takes place in space, and you see Knuckles in the movie doing his flaming fist thing, and then you also see him in the atmosphere, and his flaming fists are not as ignited due to the lack of oxygen.
Nice.
That is the kind of stuff that they actually, the details that they really put into this, as well as honoring the Shadow's character, because Keanu Reeves was a perfect choice for this. I mean, seriously, he was a perfect choice for Shadow, especially considering in the video game Shadow uses a gun. There is a scene in which Shadow uses a gun. So yeah. It's kicking Mufasa's butthole. But yes, Disney needs to learn a lesson. Stop with the remakes. Nobody cares. Stop with the CGI lions. Nobody cares. That ain't live action. Sonic 2 was pretty good, and I really enjoyed it. So, guess I watched 2 good movies this week: The War of the Rohirrim and that. Yeah, all right. Riot, did you see the credit sequence, or I think it was a credit sequence that revealed Shadow in Sonic 2? That's the question. But yes, this movie, folks, when I say that this movie has DBZ quality, I'm saying that on 2 levels. One with the fights and whatnot, but as I said in the second one, Sonic goes Super Saiyan because of that Chaos Emerald. Yeah, pretty sick. Shadow looked really cool. Yeah. But yeah, let's just say there's a Super Saiyan battle in this movie in Sonic 3. The Chaos Emerald's back. Because obviously it's going to be. That's not really much of a spoiler. But what is a spoiler, I will not say. So, any final thoughts on this, Kate?
No, I haven't seen it, but I hear it's good. I'm glad that people are getting some good movie. Like I feel like every time we do a review about stuff that's out right now, it's like negative, and
It's good
which
to see
sucks because
something good.
I really like. Yeah, I like going to the movies and seeing something good, you know. And so it's a rare occasion when it does happen. Um, like I was looking
Bless them.
forward to going to see Gladiator, but then after like reviews from people I trust were like, don't see it. And then I
Yeah.
was gonna go see Wicked, and then I found out that it's just Act 1 of the play instead of like the whole thing. So I was like,
Yeah.
what? I'll just
Yeah.
wait for it to come up on HBO. So it is nice and it's refreshing when it's like, hey, go see this movie. I recommend it. So I haven't seen it, but Orange recommends it, says it's good. So
Oh, it's
yeah.
received my highest endorsement. I mean, that movie is definitely one worth the watch. And definitely take the
And
kids if you got kids.
and I'll say one last thing. A lot of people are willing to will say, well, it's a kids movie. It's not supposed to be good. I think that's such BS. Um, my generation grew up on really great kids movies. And even when you watch them today, you're like, oh, that was really good.
It still is, yeah.
And it's
Still
been
holds up.
and it's been a while since Disney's been able to put out stuff that's not just a hack job of something that they did before. So just because it's a kids movie doesn't mean it needs to suck. So
Exactly. So with that out of the way, our next topic before movie discussion, Disney nails the final nail in the Acolyte's coffin.
bye bye.
So yeah, folks who are Save the Acolyte fans out there, it is now being buried.
I think a lot of the Save the Acolyte fans too were like, I know the Geeks and Gamers guys were like, we want to save it because we got a lot of views on our channel because we were, mocking it. So I think maybe there's a lot of troll army for the Save the Acolyte too, of like, bring it back. Kind of like everybody trolled with like Morbin time with Morbius, and they've made it they put it back in theaters only for people to like not see it a second time. I think there might be a trolling going on.
Yes, because am I roboting at all?
No.
Okay,
not on
so
my end.
All right, good. And now it's gone. Okay, so apparently, folks, yes, Gary from Nerdrotic and them said, "Oh, we signed the petition. We want the Acolyte to have a season 2." As a Star Wars fan, as a Star Wars fan myself, I find that insulting because you are trolling, sure, but you are endorsing a shit product to continue and to insult Star Wars further. But Disney co-chairman confirms the Acolyte was scrapped because views were too low for its cost, meaning there's nothing you can do. No matter how much money you donate, you are not getting it back.
Mm-hmm.
You are not getting a season 2. You are going to have to learn a very valuable lesson that me, Kate, and many others learned when we were kids. It's called disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You can cry, you can stamp your feet, you can scream to high heavens. It's not fair, it's not fair. Life's not fair. If it doesn't measure up, it doesn't continue. So let's get into this article from Fandom Pulse. Oh, shit. Oops. There we are. Disney's Entertainment co-chairman Alan Bergman confirmed that Leslie Headland's The Acolyte series was scrapped because the viewership was too low for how much it cost. Speaking with Vulture's Yosef Adalian, Bergman was asked, "The Acolyte had many strong reviews, and it did well in the ratings its first week out, but you ultimately opted against a second season. Why didn't you move forward?" First, oh my God, before I continue, folks, do you know how they got good ratings? It's because of the 2-episode release. They can only measure it by, what is that noise in the background? Kate, are you watching something?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. My thing just went off. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing is, folks, that's why they release 2 episodes, because they can only measure by hours. And the episodes aren't an hour long.
So that's how they tricked everybody?
Yeah. They
or
gave
not
you
tricked
2
everybody.
episodes. But I had a criminally underviewed video that is still criminally underviewed. It's called The Grift Exposed. Disney did the same thing with their Skeleton Crew. 2 episodes of no wokeness, only to bring that shit in the 3rd episode. And yet I called this ahead of the game, and guess what happened? My video is fucking doesn't even have 100 views. Ridiculous, you know? And then somebody else, one of these bigger channels, is going to come up and say, "Oh, the grift is exposed. I was the one who called it." And then I would literally be like, "Sit your ass down. You didn't call shit. I did."
Right. And it's always like the little guy too, where you're like, "Hey, I said it," and then like, a louder
Everybody
voice.
fucking ignores the little guy, but
Right.
once the bigger channels fucking say it, "Oh, it's so awesome. These guys are great."
So what I have the biggest thing with, like, okay, yeah, now they're coming out and this is the nail in the coffin, as you said, saying like, hey, we didn't have enough views for this freaking show. But while it was airing, like, you know, we don't get those numbers because it's not like, network TV back in the day where, like, Nielsen or whatever would tell you like, hey, so many people tuned in, this many people. With the streaming, it's all like internal numbers and we can't really like judge those internal numbers, like, you know what I mean. It's just, it feels like shady. And whenever like they say, oh, this is the number one TV show or this is the number one this on our streaming platform, like, who's going to come by and say, hey, actually no.
You want to know what's funny? They tried saying, "Oh, The Acolyte is the best show of 2024," when their last show that came out in 2024, which was also their only show that came out in 2024, which was Echo, sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
that came and went. I forgot that that was this year. I thought that was
yeah,
last year. I
yep, that was
forgot
it.
about that one. Man,
But
there's
yeah,
so much shit that they released this year that it's like I kind of forgot about it all.
so here's the reply from Bergman. So as it
Oh, your
given,
audio cut out a little bit.
nope, sorry. How is it? Is this better?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So as it relates to the Acolyte, we were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title. Quite frankly, to go and make a season two, or quite frankly, to go and make a season two. So that's the reason we didn't do that. Barnes and Noble at the Book Times previously reported that the show cost $180 million. He wrote, Headland, the TV show, or the Headland show, The Acolyte, will debut on Disney on June 4th, costing $180 million for 8 episodes. And by the way, folks, it was 180 million euros, not 180 million dollars.
Oh, so
180
that
million
makes a difference.
euros. Say what?
That makes a difference.
A significant difference because the actual
Yeah.
cost is 210 million American
Isn't
dollars.
isn't that what it costs to make like Game of Thrones? Hold on. Just let me hold on.
I'm
Game
guessing.
of Thrones cost
But
per
yeah, for 8 episodes and taking 4 years to make, it attempts 2 feats at once, pleasing old school Star Wars fans who can't see or who can seem unpleasable. Fuck off. Who wrote this? John Trent. Jesus Christ, man. Seriously?
Wait,
Who
how
can
many
seem
million?
unpleasable? All right. I am speaking directly to John Trent right now, the author of this article for Fandom Pulse. Here's the thing. If they had respected the source material, if they had respected the continuity, even original fans would have been pleased. They didn't. Now, I also, when asked Kate, when we were discussing the Acolyte episodes, was I giving an objective review?
As much as possible, yeah. You were giving an objective one because I, am
You were
more of
covering
the
the
emotional
subjective.
one. Yeah, I'm more subjective. And I was like, I don't want to watch the show. I'm watching it for you. I'm watching it. This is for do it for the stream. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you gave them props where I didn't want to give them props. Where I was like, no, I'm gonna be the stick in the mud. And you're like, no, 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 they did this right. Like they did this right. They did this right.
They
And I
did a
forget.
couple things right, yeah.
But yeah, and I forget exactly the details. You guys can go back and rewatch those videos. But Orange did a good job of saying like, actually no, this is a legit thing. This is in the extended universe. Like here's, and you
Yeah.
brought like receipts to back it up too. But
Mm-hmm.
the like aside, like just that aside, objectively, subjectively, whether or not the show was good or not, we that can be debated until the cows come home. Not really,
Yeah.
but whatever. What can't be debated is the numbers. How much did you say it cost them to make the show? $220 million for
Apparently
10 episodes.
231 million now, according to this article.
Okay, for 10 episodes.
8.
Ugh. Okay, that's
8
even
episodes.
worse.
Yeah, that's worse.
That's even worse. You know how much it cost Game of Thrones? $15 million per episode in season 8. Season 6 and 7, $10 million, and season 1, $6 million per episode. That was the #1 show in the freaking world.
Mhm.
That's how you can spend that much money. $230 million for a show that like what? Half a million people watched?
Pretty much, yeah. But here's the thing. Who can seem unpleasable while telling an entirely new story, one that requires no prior knowledge of Star Wars. Wrong! And that showcases women and people of. Oh, fuck. John Trent went woke. Okay, so yeah, wait a second. Okay, so he wrote. Okay, so this is all right. My culpa to John Trent because he's going through a this is all in quotes. I just noticed the quotes. So yeah, sorry to John Trent. My apologies, man. I was out of line there. I will admit as such. However, Jonas J. Campbell at the Park Place uncovered that the show cost at least 172 million or 231 million based on a UK tax filing. If anybody watched Mr. H reviews, he covered this shit long before this article came out. As for its viewership, The Acolyte and its 2-episode premiere debuted on Nielsen's top 10 ratings with just 488 million minutes viewed. The viewership declined from there, with the week of the show's finale only managing 335 million minutes watched. In fact, that was the least minutes watched of any live-action Star Wars series finale on Disney Plus. What others? Oh, Andor, and I think there was another one. Not only were their costs extraordinarily high and viewership low, but the audience reception to the show was extremely negative as well. The show was an overall rating of 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh, yikes.
Furthermore, the cast of the show were highly antagonistic towards Star Wars fans and even blamed them for the show's cancellation. Actress Jodie Turner-Smith, who played Mother Anastasia, accused fans of racism, even accused Disney of failing to protect her and other actors from alleged racism. And when they always accuse us of racism, folks, they never bring the evidence. So yeah, Disney's got to stop doing this thing, or she told Glamour, Disney's got to stop doing this thing where they don't say anything when people are getting effing dogpiled on by the internet with racism and bullshit. It's not fair to not say anything because they couldn't find any racism. Did you bring any evidence with you to support your claim? No, because there was none. Now, here's the thing. Obviously there was probably maybe 1 or 2 troll accounts saying this shit, and they used spoof accounts to boost the numbers of that shit. So, is there racism? Yes, there are those very 1 to 2% of dumbass humans out there who will be racist. I will not discount that. However, there was no evidence of it when they claimed it.
It was the same thing with Moses
Ingram,
and the
yeah,
other Star Wars show,
Kenobi.
Kenobi. And when we did, I actually really enjoyed her on screen. Like, I remember liking her performance, and if it wasn't for like the poorly written character, it would, you know what I mean? Like, I enjoyed her. What she
Yeah,
was given was crap, but I enjoyed her. But
yeah.
then any sort of uh anytime anybody came out and said, "Hey, I don't like this show," they're like, "Well, you're just being racist." And it's like, "No, I actually like that character. I just don't like this show." Like,
I
I
mean,
think
not
it's
not for nothing though. The actress Moses Ingram was saying that she was the first black character. It's like Mace Windu,
no.
Lando Calrissian, Adigalia, uh, Stas Ali. How many other characters had darker skin? I mean, let's just be honest here.
Or blue skin. Why does it always have to be
Blue skin,
darker?
orange
Like,
skin, green skin.
yeah, like
Yeah,
we've had the whole gambit. We've
Star
had,
Wars is incredibly diverse,
Mhm.
but they just don't want to acknowledge that. But continuing on, she continues, it's really unfair. It would just be nice if the people that have all the money were showing their support by putting their feet down, saying this is unacceptable. You're not a fan if you do this. Make a really big statement and just see if any more money or if any money leaves. Guess what? Somebody did that for you. Her name is Amanda Stenberg. She danced like a hooker in a music film or a music video calling the fans racist, saying, or while doing a bunch of twerking, hoping for a baby daddy to come along in the ghetto. Yeah, I saw the video on mute because I wasn't going to listen to her stupid shit. And all it looked like was she was trying to invoke some guy to come along and put a baby in her. That's all, or that's what it looked like. She was moaning, she was twerking, she was shaking her boobs through her tube top. That's all it looked like. I'm not kidding.
And then she went on The View and she's like, "I released a diss track."
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, so you don't want us to watch your show? Fine, fuck you. And then she
Yeah.
did that, oh, it was, or then she went on this very narcissistic rant that I responded to as well. Oh my God, I'm not even going to get into it. I bet you it won't because people of color and especially black people make up a very large percentage of buying power, she asserted. They might find that it's actually more lucrative for them, but everyone's using woke like it's a dirty word. That's because, well, it is a dirty word. It represents a dirty mindset, a mindset that only focuses on race and nothing else. It's very, what's the word? Segregational. Yeah. Actress Amanda Stenberg, who played Mayanosha in the show, also blamed a rampage of hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol for its cancellation. We already talked about that. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality. Yeah. Narcissistic much? So we're not going to get into that. I mean, they're going over her whole fucking thing. And next, Stenberg said, yeah. So after collecting her, oh, Jesus Christ. So, what do you think of Bergman confirming that the show was canceled because of its views were too low or too low for its high cost? Well, here's the thing. What I think is that if it doesn't work, get rid of it. Because if it's not paying out, it shouldn't be continued. I mean, that's a basic meritocratic process. Hey, Pierce, good to see ya. Jeez, that's so much money. That's unfortunate about Skeleton Crew. It looked like a very cute premise. Thing is, they did the same thing as the Acolyte. Two non-woke episodes that got everybody all excited, and then they dropped the third episode, which was putting in the identity politics and shit. Slightly on YouTube's, and though it's very infrequent, yeah, that's fine. I watched the final episode and nothing else, and I'm like, wow, it's really bad. Yeah. Bring back Michael Eisner for Disney. How you doing, Christian? I'm glad Bob Iger is failing. Well, failing his company, yeah. But, Kate, what are your thoughts on this?
Like I said earlier, all you need is just an amount of time and the truth will come out. We were saying that the viewership was low, and they're like, no, it wasn't. And even her little video that you had mentioned, where she was like, it's not renewed or whatever verbiage she was trying to use. Like, no, people didn't watch your show. It cost too much for what, for whatever, if they got any, feedback or any residual income off of that show. Um, you know, cry harder. I don't know. Like the show sucked. It's off the air. Nobody watched it. Like I don't. It used to be that if a show didn't get viewership and cost too much to make, it would just get canceled and there wouldn't be like this big hoopla. And now it's like a big deal. Shows get canceled all the time because people don't watch them. We
Mm-hmm.
don't freaking have to hear about it all the time. Like, why do I have to freaking hear about it? Echo, you just mentioned Echo. Echo didn't get renewed, it got canceled. And I haven't been hearing about it for freaking 8 months, you
Yeah,
know?
all right.
But for some freaking weird reason, the Acolyte gets canceled, and it's like, you have to hear about it every 5 minutes. Like,
Well, that's
guys,
because 80,000 to 100,000 people were whining about it.
yeah, I'm really sick and tired of appealing to this really
The
loud
minority.
minority group that just, okay, you're like three people but you make the most noise, and like, your show sucked. It's off the air. Get over it. I don't know.
I mean, folks, I defended the Acolyte in a couple of areas. Fully admit that when looking at a couple of things objectively from what I knew of lore, I explained that they brought the stuff in, however, didn't do it right. They brought in a couple of things, and however, they still got it wrong. I pointed all that out. You can go ahead and watch those streams, because I know that there are going to be some people who are looking at this or probably looking for gotcha moments on here saying, oh, he said he liked the Acolyte. No, I didn't like the Acolyte. I said from an objective standpoint, meaning I'm removing my bias, that they brought in some things from the EU. They got a little bit of it interesting, sure, interesting visuals. However, it didn't provide quality. So, yeah. With that out of the way, rip the Acolyte, rest in pieces. And let's move on to our closer, which is Angels and Demons discussion. So let me here. So yes, folks, this Angels and Demons from 2000 some odd, and it starred Tom Hanks,
Hey, I'm
Ewan
host.
McGregor,
No, just kidding.
Tom Hanks, Ewan McGregor, Stellan Skarsgård. I can't remember the other woman's name, but she played in Man of Steel and also played in Daredevil as Fisk's wife. So, yeah. This movie is basically about the death of a pope and his preferiti, the four bishops that were most likely going to succeed him, are kidnapped. And the Illuminati apparently are responsible for this. And this movie, I tell you now, really pissed off the Catholic Church. Angels and Demons. Yes, it is a movie with Tom Hanks. It is part of the Langdon trilogy. I highly recommend it. If you like or watch the Da Vinci Code extended 3-hour edition, Riot, then watch this, then watch Inferno. Inferno is the lowest, or we will discuss Inferno next week on the podcast, on the recap. But this movie, Langdon is called in to help them, or to help the Vatican solve this mystery of the kidnapped cardinals. And, well, then it turns out that there's a greater thing afoot. I have read these books, folks. or I've read the book for this movie, it's a good book. It was a really good book. There's a twist at the end that we see in this movie where the guilty party tortures himself in the Vatican. And it turns out that it's mentioned in the movie, he was my father, but he said that the Pope had adopted the Il Camerlingo, the Ewan McGregor character. It turns out the book was even more blasphemous in the eyes of the church, because this book or the story is basically the marriage of science and religion. Now, Kate, what were your thoughts on this movie before we go any further, or before I explain a little bit further?
I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed last week's movie. I did. There was a lot that I did like. It just seemed a little like cookie cutter. Like, hey, we're searching for. It's a different kind of mystery, and it's in a different place, and we've got Tom Hanks again, and he's got a lady. Like, it wasn't a bad movie per se. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, and yeah, but it was good because this is a subject. The marriage of science and religion is very it's a cool topic because I was in the STEM field when I was in school, and I am a woman of faith. So, these questions and these discussions I've had a lot with friends and colleagues and stuff is like, well, how can you believe in a creator God when, A B C D or whatever. So I do like that. And I think it was cool, just like the movie starts off in like CERN, and there's been a lot of, these movies are really fun if you're like a religion conspiracy theorist, um because you get to go down like a nice like what if, uh scenario in your head. So, like one of the main things is like they're in CERN trying to do like the God particle and stuff. And so is it blasphemous? You know, is it sacrilege? Is it just science where you're just trying to, discover secrets of the universe? Like it's a cool topic. I like it.
So yeah, I just love get this. While we've been talking during this whole stream over an hour and 7 minutes, I've lost 6 subscribers on YouTube. I'm back under 1,600 again. So if you
During
can
now?
huh?
Like during this stream?
Yes,
Wow.
I've just lost 6 subscribers. So make sure that you are subscribed, folks, at Orange Hat on YouTube. But yeah, holy crap. Seriously. It's absolutely insane that it's like, what the hell? But yeah, this movie also does ambigram brands. Now, brands are a dark stain on the church, or on the Catholic Church, because for those of you who do not want to acknowledge it, if you are Catholic, you are going to hear some uncomfortable truths. The Catholic Church was a very violent faith back in the day. There were war popes, popes that waged war. In fact, during the Renaissance, the Pope of the time waged wars. And conversion was mandatory for any territory they came across. If you don't believe me, look up the bloody verdict of Verdun. A river flowing with the heads of 4,000 men, or with the blood of 4,000 men that were beheaded and their bodies tossed into the river of Verdun. Yeah. That was all due to them not renouncing their pagan beliefs. Also, there was the stain of La Purga in the 1600s. The church went after scientists and branded them with a cross to purge them of their sins. That is an actual thing in history that happened. The Malleus Maleficarum, the most blood-soaked book in history, where the Catholic Church went after and killed millions of free-thinking women. These are all things that Catholics don't want you to know about. However, they are a part of Catholicism history.
Which is really interesting, because in this movie we get Tom Hanks' character. He in the beginning of the film, he repeatedly is like, I've been trying to get into your archives. I've been asking, like, I can't finish my book without, this book that you
Certain
guys have. And
content.
you're like, yeah. And you're like, keeping this secret. And then at the end of the film, that gets resolved. But there's a conversation between the cardinal and Tom Hanks' character where he's like, this is basically asking him, like, write us in a good light,
Yeah.
and
When
make
you
sure
write of
we look.
us, yeah, when you write of us, and you will write of us, do so
Mhm.
gently.
And
I love that line.
it's funny that it echoes in real life, because the Catholic Church will basically, not excommunicate, but they'll like put their stamp of disapproval on anything that they're like, it doesn't make us look good. Well, stop doing stuff that makes you look bad. I don't know, like.
Or at least acknowledge the sins of your past. I mean,
Right.
Catholicism has a lovely thing called confession. Perhaps the church should confess to some of the sins it committed for
No, because
absolution.
confession in their mind only means confess to one another inside the church. It doesn't mean, hey, acknowledge your sins to the world. And I've had this conversation with
Yeah.
multiple.
But we're not here to shit on the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. We're here to discuss a movie.
Yeah.
But yes, the Vatican, the Catholic Church denounced these movies. They, in fact, asked if you are Catholic, boycott the film. And the film still did very well in the
Pretty well.
theaters.
I mean, they made 3 movies. Yeah.
Yeah. But this movie, they have to find the Cardinals and also are racing against the clock because there is a threat of the Illuminati that says Vatican City will be consumed by light. And they had managed at CERN to create antimatter, which, if antimatter comes into contact with physical matter, the resulting burst of energy could be cataclysmic, considering the quantities inside of the canisters. There was basically about the size of let's see here. Well, honestly, the size of my ring. This ring is the size 16 on my on my fingers. It's about, the amount was about that big around. To give you guys an idea, in the palm of my hand, that big. And we actually do see what happens when it comes into contact with matter, because, well, you got to have the big explosion. It just doesn't destroy Vatican City. It's blown up above Vatican City at the end. But they also brand the Cardinals with ambigrams of earth, air, fire, and water, and kill them in those elemental ways, the altars of science. And I gotta say, these people die in some horrifying ways.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on how they were murdered?
It felt Saw adjacent, where you're like, whoa, that was cruel and like fascinating almost. Like you couldn't look away, like, if that makes sense. But even I will say, toward the end of the film, there's a. Are we doing spoilers or not?
Yes.
When Ewan McGregor's character lights himself on fire at the end, I was like, it takes a little, like, I was surprised he didn't start screaming like beforehand. Like it took a little longer to start screaming than I had anticipated. I was like, bro, you're on fire. Like,
It had to burn through the oil first.
true,
Because
but I
he
was like, bro,
saturated himself in oil.
he did, yeah, and then threw the thing down. But I was just like, shouldn't you start? But I did. It was a little darker than the first one.
Yeah.
As far as like the brutality of it, obviously the first one was about like finding, like Jesus's kid, or
Yeah. Well, his
great
bloodline.
great great great, yeah, his bloodline. Um, so it's not as dark as like, hey, these four people are being held somewhere, and I'm gonna kill them on the hour. That it's a little bit darker, but no, it was I like the little like twists and turns too. It was good.
Oh yeah, this movie. I mean, folks, these cardinals are killed with earth, meaning dirt, air, meaning his lungs are punctured
Hmm.
so that he couldn't uh,
Hmm.
be saved. Fire, one is burned alive, and water, one was going to be drowned. Drowned, actually saved, and it really is brutal, especially when they find the Earth, the one or the cardinal who died by Earth.
Hmm.
Holy crap, man! And you also, or this movie references the Da Vinci Code. It's like they want to bring you in due to your assistance with some of the church's mysteries. I was not aware that that event endeared me to the Vatican. Oh, it didn't. I love it how that guy actually is like, oh, it didn't.
Hmm.
And so when he's brought to the Vatican, he's able to, or he's like, I need to see your archives. This is the only way I can solve this thing. Seriously, this is not the time. No, this isn't about my work. I seriously need to be into your archives. Or you know that it goes before the Vatican librarians and whatnot, or by papal mandate. Well, sure, but as you know, our Holy Father is dead. What about El Camerlengo? He's just a priest. Doesn't the power of the Holy See lie with him during Tempestet Vacante, which means the power of the Temple of the Empty Throne? For those of you who don't know Latin, um, but yeah, I love. And he's like, guys, you called me. That was such a great part in it. And all across Rome, they are. I love how they do this because it's a chase. It really is a good chase. Now, the character of Il Camerlengo, which is Ewan McGregor's character, um, his character in the book is an actual blood son of the Pope. But everybody's now asking, well, how could the Pope have impregnated a nun? And it's like, oh my God, such a scandal. Except she was also a virgin. And and the Pope never had sex. The science that helped in religion was through artificial insemination. And so El Camerlengo was actually the son of the Pope. And yet it turns out he killed his father. He committed
Hmm.
patricide.
Hmm.
And he thought that his mother was a whore for, having a baby. And it's like, no. They sought science to help them conceive, considering they couldn't consummate their relationship. So, yes, two virgins having a baby. Kind of almost biblical, isn't it? Yeah, I said that. um, the point is, folks, this movie challenged the belief structure of the Catholic Church. It's even said in the movie where they're like, the sun god and whatnot, and it's like the Catholic religion took a lot of themes from older religions in order to make conversion more acceptable,
Palatable for people. Yeah.
palatable for people, such as December 25th and whatnot. It made a good day, or it made a good day to label as Christ's birth. We don't know when Christ was born.
He was probably born in the spring because
Yeah.
he had to go to Bethlehem in order to be recorded in the census, and Roman censuses were done in April. Also, somebody who's an astronomer did the whole like mapping the sky around like 3 to 6 BC to find that like star that the Magi
Mhm.
followed from the east, and was given enough information in scripture of like how it moved and its properties that he found whatever star it was. So I believe it's like April of like 3 BC is Christ's birth, but that's an estimate.
And he died in 32 Anno Domini.
The year of
AD.
our Lord.
Yep. So he would have been 35 years old, or 36 years
Again, this
old,
is
because
approximate.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
some people
there it is.
say it's right on 0 AD, BC, whatever. It's probably closer to like 2, 3, 4 BC or AD.
Yeah. So the BC of that, or of those specific years, is birth of Christ.
Mhm.
Let's just call it birth of Christ instead of before Christ, But
Right, yeah, it's
yeah,
the BC is the birth of Christ, and then
yeah. In
but
this case,
it's I don't know, like I liked the whole because that's something that I've always questioned too. Like, okay, so if in Isaiah it says, "This shall be assigned to you, a virgin shall give birth," and and they'll call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. Um, and then in the 21st century, kind of like the TV show Jane the Virgin, where she goes in for like a pap, and then they accidentally artificially inseminate her. Uh,
whoops.
yeah, that's a.
How the
But
fuck
anyway,
does
that
that
was a
happen?
TV show. I had
Yeah.
never watched the show, but I'm just saying, like, it's cool to bring up these kind of concepts of like, okay, does it change like your belief system if you're introduced with these other things? And it shouldn't if you are, strong in your faith. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Because
it's
here's the
really
thing.
funny to me when the Catholics' knee-jerk reaction is, "Don't watch it." Like, just watch it and laugh at how ridiculous it is. Like, if
Exactly.
watching a
Because
movie, if watching a movie is gonna make you uproot your like fundamental beliefs and ideology, then you didn't actually believe in it. So just watch the movie.
yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, this movie doesn't change the laws of, or doesn't change anything about the Bible. It doesn't change the histories. It suggests, sure, it's a fictional interpretation of a system. That's it. If you,
I
as
do
she
think that
said,
they should have.
if you're sure in
No,
your
go ahead. Sorry. Sorry.
faith, if it's sure in your faith, you, or it shouldn't bother you.
Right. And um, after hearing about you talking about how the books were in a different order, I'm thinking maybe the movies should have been in a different order because leading up to like the Holy Grail seems like a little bit, like in a trilogy, you want to like
That's the
lead up to the
second
big
book.
finale.
Yeah, that's the
It's the
second
second one.
book.
Oh, it's not the third one. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Inferno
I
is the
misheard.
third, and then there's a couple others, and it's like, holy shit, man.
Okay, so these are the only three that they made movies on, but he did make other books.
Oh yeah, one in which one in which Langdon is almost killed, and the third one. Well, I will tell you more about that next week. But yes, this movie, from an objective standpoint, I would put it at around an 8.5. There's great moments in it. However, there are some rather misedited moments as well. Meaning the editing doesn't quite fit in certain areas continuity wise. There's a couple of things that stand out. I do believe that if a church is saying, do not watch this, especially, or to people who are sure within their faith, should be at least, that says more about the church fearing the movie rather than just simply disapproving of the movie. Also, why would you allow this movie to be filmed in Italy or in the Vatican City? Now, yes, some of the churches were not allowed to be filmed. They strictly forbade it after they found out what their plans were for this film. But yeah, there was some that were not allowed filming at all, so they had to create set pieces. Obviously, in specific churches in which they were going to put or desecrate with fire or whatnot. But subjectively, I enjoy the movie. It's a 9 out of 10. And for moviegoer, it's a 9 out of 10. It runs a bit, but it's still solid entertainment-wise. What are your scores?
I'll start with subjective. Subjectively, I would say 6. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie, but it's not. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. It didn't like. I zoned out in a couple spots, and I don't know if it was pacing. It was probably pacing of the film where I zoned out and I had to like rewind it. I'm like, what happened in the scene? Um, so it didn't captivate my attention as much as the last one did, or last week's. Objectively, um, I put it at like 7.5. I was surprised when I went on Fandango to rent this that the scores were so low on the audience
Rotten
and
Tomatoes, yeah.
tomato score. I think it was in the 30s. I think that's a bit harsh. I think perhaps though it's difficult to separate religion and and we've been talking about this religion and
Fiction.
this movie because he intertwines them a little bit. He intertwines religion and the murder mystery or the mystery,
Yeah.
and to the faithful may seem sacrilegious. So maybe that might be due to the scores or whatnot, but I don't think it should have been in the 30s. And then moviegoer, again, maybe the pacing, the casting was really good. With
You're not breaking
Skarsgård,
it down.
McGregor.
Moviegoer, you don't break it down. You simply base it on
Okay,
entertainment value alone.
entertainment value, I don't know. I would say 6 again. Again, I think it was the pacing that was a little off for me, where I just kind of zoned out a little bit in the middle of the movie. But definitely rewatchable. So yeah, 5, 6.
All right. So with that, folks, we don't want to spoil too much of it, but we spoiled enough of it. I think that the movie is definitely worth a watch. If you are a faithful person, it should not bother you. It's simply just a movie. Just see it as such. I mean, if it's how is a movie attacking your faith? If you are so staunch in your or if your
Yeah.
conviction is high,
I will
how
say
is your
the
faith
things that
affected?
bothered. Yeah, to answer that question, the things that bothered me, and maybe I'm not the right person to answer this because I'm not offended and it doesn't quench my faith at all. But speaking on behalf of like a faithfully observant Christian, it bothers me to see such a poor representation of Christianity on screen every time we see Christianity or Christians displayed on screen. Now, again, this is very specific to Catholicism. But like when they have these lines like, "Oh, on this rock I will build my church," and they're talking about Peter, and it's like, no, 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 no. On the rock of the foundation of Christ being the Son of God and him being the Messiah, that's the rock on which the church was built. Not on a dude who 2 sentences later Jesus said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." So like the representation of, because sometimes in movies and on screen, this is the only time people are going to see that religion portrayed to them. Now, if let's say this were any other religion and like Hinduism or something, and it was not accurately representing what people believe, that might make people upset. You know what I mean? So I
Okay.
will say just maybe, giving people the benefit of the doubt. There are moments where I'm like, that's not what we believe. That's not right. That's not right. And I do have to separate myself from the movie. And like we've been saying, it's just a movie, guys. But that might be what the anger is from.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, that is going to lead to the end of this stream. I want to thank everybody who stayed in. Vanya, Riot, Pierce, and who else? Christian, Junebug, and anybody and everybody else on X. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you are still subscribed to my channel because apparently some people may have been unsubscribed. I will be making a note of that. Stay tuned next week as we discuss more topics, as well as the third of the Lincoln trilogy, which is Inferno. So definitely stay tuned till then. Tomorrow I will be doing my theme stream for the final the Under the Radar films, and me and Mara will be on her channel doing the 1s and 2s for Home Alone 2 later that night. I believe Tuesday night we'll also have the Barroom podcast on Jake's channel on Society Reviews. So stay tuned for those. Anyway, folks, you all have a lovely Christmas, Merry Christmas,
Merry
and
Christmas,
whatnot.
Feliz
And
Navidad, Happy
yep,
Hanukkah, and all the other ones.
yep. Y'all make sure that you stay warm because it's cold out there. And always remember, folks, to stay humble. Peace.
Are you done? Are you done?